Bapak Ibu para hadirin sekalian, selanjutnya kita akan masuk ke dalam sesi diskusi berikutnya, yaitu panel discussion kelima yang bertopik teknologi Convergence, the future of Islamic digital finance in Web3 era. Sesi ini akan berlangsung dalam bahasa Inggris. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests in this session, speakers from local and international speakers will explore how Islamic finance in the Web3 era and identify innovative strategies for the future of Islamic digital finance. Allow me to briefly present their profile. Mr. Muhammad Rafi Hossain, co-founder and CEO of Facet, has a diverse track record of formulating and executing AI and blockchain strategies for governments, multilaterals, and corporates, and has delivered such projects end-to-end across various sectors, including economic development, climate change, renewable energy, healthcare, agriculture, and education. Bapak Saud Parulian Saragi, SEVP Digital Banking, Bank Syariah Indonesia. He is a prominent executive and leader in the fields of digital banking, strategy, and business development. His extensive experience also includes advising on investment opportunities, participating in industry working groups, and contributing to executive education programs. Mr. Muhammad Alkaf Al-Hashmi, co-founder and executive board member, Haq Network. He is a computer science engineer with more than 20 years of experience. With this cumulative experience, he focuses on blockchain technology, Industry 4.0, artificial intelligence, machine learning, industrial automation, and IoT. This session will be moderated by Bapak Muhammad Ismail, Vice Chairman Indonesian Sharia Fintech Association, IFSE. He is a tech and digital enthusiast with 18 years of experience helping hundreds of companies driving transformation by enabling technologies. His expertise is on technology, information system, strategic management, finance, and accounting. So, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, please let's warmly welcome them with a big round of applause. Mr. Muhammad Rafi Hossain, Bapak Saud Parulian Saragi, Mr. Muhammad Alkaf Al-Hashmi, and the moderator, Bapak Muhammad Ismail. The floor is yours.
Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Yes, good afternoon everyone. Have you guys had your lunch? Oh yes, good, thank you. Before we start, we have three Muhammad on stage. And you know, we are lucky because Pak Saud, his son also Muhammad. So we have Abu Muhammad also here. So it's nice. Okay, so I am very delighted to lead the discussion today. Thank you guys. How are you doing, guys? Alhamdulillah. Okay, so we have a very interesting discussion. We have the technology convergence, the future of Islamic and digital finance in Web3. This is interesting. We want to see and understand how these two sides of Islamic finance and the latest technology and innovation have its the benefit and what is the opportunities and challenges we are facing today. Okay, so Assalamualaikum, Pak, everyone. Let me start with a question to Pak Saud. Pak Saud, we are in the era where we see a lot of startups, a lot of neobanks emerging in the market. And how you see that this startups, this landscape has changing and impact to the BSE in the banking industry, national banking industry.
Yeah, thank you, Pak Muhammad. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So I think we at BSI we're looking at the developments of fintech and digital banks as a positive points, Pak, because let me just share with you some of the statistics, right? So it said that we have in Indonesia 64 to 65 million MSME players.
Wow.
Only 29 million doesn't have access to financing.
Mm-hmm.
And we, based on World Bank data of 2021, 48% of adults, or around 97 million, doesn't have bank accounts. So basically, we can see that the potential of or the penetration of banking or financial instruments to Indonesian individual and also micro, small, and medium enterprises players are still can be enhanced. And we see the emergence of digital banks and financial technology companies will increase this penetration. So it means that it will increase the market size of banking industries or financial services industries in Indonesia. So that is very positive. The second thing, we're looking at this as a positive development because we see that fintech and digital banks, they are what you call it more agile. And also they are very customer obsessed. So we are in banking industry, especially in BSI, we need to actually catch up. So this has become our motivation as well to increase our technology capabilities as well as our way of working and also how we engage with customers. Now the third point that we're looking at this as a positive point because we see that the business model not necessarily the same as banking. So we see this as an opportunity or opportunities for collaboration. So we see that fintech and digital banks are our potential partners. So basically, I think in a nutshell, we're looking at this as positive trends for banking industry, especially for BSI.
Okay, it's very nice to hear how BSE is evolving. And I want to say congratulate to BSE for you just launching your newest super apps. Yes, this is how we are happy to see that BSE is evolving and how they're using technology to approach the market. So I want to speak to Mr. Muhammad Alkaf. We hear how BSE doing with its digital initiatives. And from your perspective, why halal ecosystem are needed to use that Web3 and the latest technology?
Okay, so thank you. It's a very important question actually, because a lot of people just thinking that we don't need to have the halal in Web3 and that will not add a real value. So we have to look at it from different point of view. We always call the blockchain as a single source of truth. Mm-hmm. And that's why we named our blockchain Haq. Haq is a single source of truth. And it's the best matching technology to serve the Sharia finance and the whole halal ecosystem. If we look at the halal ecosystem, or let's say the Islamic environment in general, it has three important verticals. One is the Islamic finance. Second is the Islamic lifestyle and Sharia compliant lifestyle. Let's call it ethical lifestyle because it's not exclusive for Muslims only. Anyone can follow. And the other part is the halal ecosystem. Now, the question here, we have 2 billion Muslims almost, and beyond that of non-Muslims who follow the ethical finance, lifestyle, and halal ecosystem. We have a market cap of halal ecosystem with $4 trillion. Islamic finance, almost last year it was 3.69 trillion according to PwC. This year expected to exceed 4 trillion. So we have a very huge market cap, a very big community. Is this community still underserved in the Web 2 technologies? Yes, still underserved. Is it underserved in the conventional financial way? Still underserved. Why? We can look at the very simple statistics. More than 50% of Muslims, they are unbanked because they cannot reach the services, or they believe there is no enough transparency. How we can achieve to this transparency? The only way with the current technology that we have is the Web3, is the blockchain, is to put this all technology in on the blockchain itself. We have, for example, if we look at the three verticals, we talk about the Sharia finance. Let's speak about zakat, donation. We have the other different kind of muamalat, mudaraba, musharaka, murabaha, muqayada. This all can be happen in a very transparent way and in a traceable way only on the blockchain. And we're not talking about this as just theoretical things. Today, we have the zakat solution ready and running on the blockchain. We have the musharaka, mudaraba, murabaha, and muqayada smart contracts already there and running on the chain. We have the peer-to-peer lending that's Sharia compliant there on the chain, and many other solutions. And then move a little bit to the lifestyle. There is nothing in the social media today. We cannot see any platform that we can call it ethical social media platform. And still, the Sharia and Islamic finance, or let's say lifestyle, it's in need for Sharia compliant super app, which our brother, he built one already. And there is a need for to have a Web3 super app that can address the all connections, communications, calls, voice, and all the lifestyle, even Quran with artificial intelligence, tafsir, and many other things, which already there we have built it and it'll be launched next month.
Okay, so if I want to add some more about when we are talking about the Islamic finance as an ecosystem, Pak Saud already mentioned that the technology emerging, that startups and neobanks can work together with the existing and traditional bank. How, from the accessibility, how you see that technology or Web3 or blockchain can have a strong role in penetrating the Islamic finance into those markets who are untapped by the bank?
Okay, this is also another great question. Well, first of all, we have to address two parts here. One part, which is very important, which is the awareness. We need to give awareness. I mean, the whole world, let's say, not only the Sharia community, they are lacking a lot of awareness on Web3. Okay. So there should be awareness on Web3, and from our side, there should be awareness on Sharia as well, and that's what we are doing, and that's why we created Haq Academy, where people can enroll there, and they can learn, and they can get NFT certificate at the end, and it is accredited by the International Islamic University. The other part is how to create a real need and demand for the people to use it. Let me give you a small example, brother. A lot of people went to Hajj and Umrah. Hajj and Umrah before, you can go and you can visit the mosque, and it was very normal. Then it became a must to use the application. When there is a necessity, people are going to this transition. Now everybody knows how to use that application, knows how to book the appointment. That's why we are creating a need here. One example is the zakat. When we create fair share to distribute the zakat, now the only way for the people to receive the zakat is to download the wallet and connect it with their digital identity. So there is a must reason here to download and to use it, and by that they are moving to Web3. When he receives the zakat on the wallet, then he has to spend, he has to go to buy, to convert to crypto, to fiat, and many things. So that's how we are tackling this.
Wow, thank you, Mr. Muhammad Alkaf. It's a great explanation about how those Web3, it's not theory, it's already implemented, and we see how the result and how it's complementary with the services by the traditional bank like PSE. And now we talk to Mr. Muhammad Rafi Hussain. When we are talking about the Web3, how do you see that this is the alignment? Is there any natural alignment between Islamic finance and Web3? And what is the challenges adopting those technology within our situation right now?
Absolutely. Assalamualaikum.
Salam.
Actually, that's a great question, and I would love to ask the audience that question. How many people, if you're listening, have heard of Web3 before coming into this room? If you can just raise your hand.
Anyone?
So not a lot of people have heard Web3. How many people have heard of Islamic finance before?
Islamic finance.
There's only a very few hands in the audience. So I think one of the main things is education around this space. And I wanted to kind of take a step back and say, the interesting thing about Web3 is this concept of ownership, right? And Islamic finance, at the end of the day, the maqasid, is about ownership as well. So if you think about Web 1, how many people use the internet? Another question for the audience. How many people use the internet in 1995? Did anyone use the internet in 1995 in this room? No one used it. Okay, there's one gentleman in the back who was old enough. Now in 1995, when you use the internet, you can only do one thing at that time. I might be the oldest one on this panel, so I can tell you, which is that you can only read. So there used to be websites. You might see a cooking recipe online on Yahoo. If that cooking recipe is terrible, you would have no way of even leaving a review that that recipe that you read on the internet is bad. That's 1995, so you can only read at that point. That's Web 1. Web 2 is that you see that recipe, you probably see it on Facebook, and you can leave a comment that that was the best pudding recipe that I've ever seen. And someone else can write from another place in the world that that is the worst cake recipe that I've ever seen. So Web 1, you can only read. Web 2, you can communicate just like we are on Facebook, on Instagram, on TikTok, on Snapchat. Now Web 3 is that you can own, right? You can own Bitcoin, you can own Ethereum, you can own your data, you can own. Now, what is the maqasid of Islamic finance? It's all about owning real-world assets. So is there a natural alignment? Absolutely a natural alignment. And I think this is the one time that if you're passionate, which I'm sure many of you are in this room, when it comes to Islamic finance, you can rewrite the rules. So, when it comes to Facet, if you look at our name, F-A-S-S-E-T, the word asset is right in our name. Because we believe fundamentally that on our platform, even here in Indonesia, the fundamental right is everyone should be able to own, of course, Bitcoin, Ethereum, but they should be able to own stocks, they should be able to own property, they should be able to own commodities, all to your name, all that becomes a foundation to your ability to do finance, right? So now when we think about Islamic finance in the era of Web3, the topic of today, that topic is about how can these assets work for you? How can we create innovation that is not just applicable to Muslims, but how can we actually contribute to the global financial system in a way that we weren't able to do in traditional Islamic finance or in the traditional financial system? And I think that is where the opportunity is today, that for the first time, because the underlying premise of Web3 is ownership, the underlying premise of the maqasid of finance as per Sharia is ownership, we have a chance not just to create a financial system just for Muslims, just around Sharia compliance, but to actually contribute to the global financial system and tell everybody, whether it's in Indonesia or abroad, that this is the way finance should be done.
Wow. I'm very happy when you mentioned that this technology, Web3, truly aligned with the Islamic finance and Islamic values. So my question is, if we see that the emerging of this technology are naturally aligned with the financial or Islamic finance, do you see that any potential that we can bring this Islamic finance to be a leader in the economy ecosystem, say in Indonesia or in a global perspective? What do you think?
Absolutely, and that's why we can't make the mistake that we've made in the past as kind of a Muslim community, where we start ring fencing our innovation, our heritage, our intellect only for our people, because we now are in an era that we can actually write the rules, and we can write the rules based on the principles that we believe in, from a worldly perspective as well from a spiritual perspective. And if you think about Web3, and if we just talk about the story of crypto, of Bitcoin, just for a moment, this is the first financial asset class ever that was actually not started by wealthy people. It's a very interesting point.
Wow.
If you think about it, every financial asset class, if you think about real estate 500 years ago in England, or if you think about stocks, you think about bonds, you think about ETFs, all these were started for rich people to invest in first, and it took many decades, maybe multiple decades, for it to come down to the average person like ourselves. Now, when you think about Web3, Bitcoin was started by an average person. A lot of average people, regular people like ourselves, started coming in. And what happened? Only now do we have the BlackRocks, the JP Morgans, the Goldman Sachs saying, you know what, I also want to come in. It's complete inverse. Now, why do I mention this? Is that it just shows you that the power when it comes to Web3 and in the era of blockchain, AI that we live in today, it actually resides in our own hands, right? In the hands of people in this audience where we can innovate. So now when it comes to what we're armed with, not only are we armed with, and coming to your question, with Web3 and all the democratization, all the fairness that it provides, but we're also armed with something special, right? We have the Makasidi principles of how finance should be done. So when you fuse those principles that we believe in dearly, that without a doubt is to the benefit of society, and let's just quickly review those principles. Because it's not Islamic principles, these are Islamic principles that apply to everybody. So where we think about risk should be shared between everybody. That's a universal principle that doesn't exist in global finance completely. When we think about that, speculation should be limited, and that a transaction, the outcome of the transaction should be known at the time that you're starting the transaction. That's pure Islamic Finance 101, but that's something that we should all believe in. When we think about that, no money on itself cannot generate money. So if you think about the way Wall Street works, if you have a lot of money, I'm guaranteed I can put it into an asset class and just make more money for free. But in Islamic finance, no, you have to be providing some economic value for that money that you've invested to bring other money. So these three principles, combined with the ability of Web3 to be able to go to anybody and to start something from our level and not rely on a bank, extremely powerful.
Wow, thank you. What Mr. Rafi is sharing, there is an optimism for us that we can bring this Islamic finance, Islamic economy and values into a scale that we can, bring back the benefit to the society. So before I go back to Pa Saud, I want to ask Mr. Alkaf, what do you think that partnership or any initiatives needed to support this technology and this ecosystem to work together to achieve that level where we can say that Islamic finance can lead the global economy?
Okay, well, we can say that first of all, most important is that the technology will talk the language of the real demand and the real practice on ground. So if there is no real demand, no real practice that can be served with the technology, there will not be a use cases. What do I mean by this? Tell anyone to come and download, for example, our wallet and use it. It's for him, it's just luxury thing. It's good to have, it's not must to have. But if we could serve their entities and make partnership with them to make it a must to have for people, then this will help to make a big transition toward the digital and toward the Web3 and to service this all. Let me give you one quick example. We all, at the beginning, you spoke about the halal ecosystem. We know the halal ecosystem. When we talk about it, people's minds goes to halal certificates. Is this food halal? Is this food not halal? So the journey starting from the slaughtering, let's say, for example, and then it goes to the halal certificate, and there is some weak parts on the chain which needed to be served and some gaps, and only Web3 can serve it. So for example, we receive the food to our table, we just see the logo that it is halal and we just take it. There is no way to verify that this is really halal. And this verification can happen only on the blockchain. Go a little bit more. If you do the certificate on the chain, and then what is happening in reality now, halal food comes with halal certificate, right? But the trade finance, it happens with entities who charge interest and do riba. The project itself, when it started to grow the animals, to do the agriculture, it is financed from banks that charge interest, and there is riba. So halal is like a chain. If there is a weak part, then the whole chain will be weak. Now the Web3 technology can service this. We are doing currently the artificial intelligence to monitor the slaughtering. The halal certificate on the chain, we've done this in Brazil. We are now in discussion with the Indonesian entities. The supply chain traceability is very important, and the logistic traceability is very important, and then the sukuk tokenization, and then the halal commodity trade finance. This all has to be done on chain, on Web3, and this partnership that we need to have with the entities. What I'm talking about today is not a concept, is not a theory, is not something we will build it in future. It is happening now. It's a real product where people can use it from today, and people are actually using it. There is another small example as well. We have done it here in Indonesia. We've done a pilot to do two parts. One is donation, and the other part is to finance some agriculture projects. And this happened all through the blockchain on the Web3, and it's bringing very good results. And we've done also the same for microfinance in Turkey, and it brought an amazing results. So when we bridge this and provide the real value for the conventional entities who provide the Sharia finance services, then we're moving to next stage where people look at this technology as a must to have, not as a good to have.
Wow, thank you. Very interesting and detailed explanation. So, pass out, we can hear from Mr. Muhammad Al-Kaf and Mr. Hussein that we have an optimism when we are talking about the convergence between Islamic finance and latest technologies, say Web3. And when we are talking about this global vision that we are optimists, and how BSE playing their role about how bringing this Islamic finance into the next level, into a global scale level that we can bring these services into, at the level of anyone can access this financial institution.
Right. Yeah, thank you. I think that's a great question. So basically, we are currently developing, because we were from three smaller banks. Now we are bigger. Fortunately, now we have sufficient capital actually to invest. So the investment includes the strengthening of our technology that will also cover the improvement of engagement to our customers. Now, once this is done, we're actually reaching out to not Indonesia. So, for example, we have an office now in Dubai. We're exploring to open offices also in other parts of Middle Eastern, probably later on to Europe. So we will offer our financing products and services to our customers, not only in Indonesia, but also to other countries. Now, within Indonesia now, when we talk about Islamic finance, we are using our app actually to offer digital financing. Probably we are one of the first, if not the first, offering that through apps, so that it can reach out to our customers 24/7. And also it can be done anywhere as long as they have the connection to internet. So this is how we are building what you call it, access to Islamic finance for our customers. But we will start first by offering this to Indonesian customers, and later on to outside of Indonesia, beyond Indonesia.
Okay, nice pass out. Talking about this Web3 and blockchain, do you see that are there any specific area where digital bank like, say, BSE can implement the Web3 and blockchain?
I think there are plenty of things, I think, related to Islamic finance as well. I think we can implement the blockchain in multiple use cases. The only challenge right now is related to compliance and regulation. So as long as the compliance and regulation in Indonesia at least are very clear, we are open definitely to explore the use cases that is available right now. I think there are use cases related to, for example, supply chain financing. So that is something that we can look into as long as the regulations and the compliance are clear.
Oh, it's very interesting to see BSE will use the latest technology and innovation, and hope it can help BSE penetrate into the market and bring more values to the market. Okay, so I want to back to Mr. Muhammad Al-Kaf. Say, today majority of the Islamic communities are not aware about Web3 and maybe not even have a deep understanding about the blockchain. How you see and what is the opportunities to, to close the gap? What do you think?
Okay, so we spoke about this a bit ago in a short way, where first is to spread the awareness. Awareness is very important. Mm-hmm. I mean, community, they need a booster to learn and to move and to go to Web3. Without this booster, they will not move. Because if you tell the people it's just a nice technology, use it, they'll smile and just go. But if you tell them, guys, you use this, you make more money, you enhance your life, you are having full transparency that what you do is fully ethical and halal, then they move to that level. That's why we created this academy that people can go. They will learn first about Sharia principles, Sharia finance, which I like that our brother Muhammad Rafi was talking about it in a simple way, because sometimes when we talk about technology, we forget the different categories of audiences. And we assume everybody understands what we say. And that's wrong from our side, actually. We have to simplify it. So, first of all, the academy will teach the people how to learn about Sharia finance and the principle of it, why Web3 is important to it. Then they will learn about Web3 itself. So this is one part of the awareness. The second part is how to make this technology simple. If the wallet itself today or the application we are giving to the community is very difficult to use and it has very bad interface, very bad UX, UI, they will not use it. They will run away and they will keep in their comfort zone. So we have to focus and balance both parts. Okay.
Say you are an advisor to our new elected president, the new Mr. President Prabowo. Where do you think that Indonesia has to start to close that gap? If you are an advisor to our Mr. President, what would you say and what is the strategy to close that gap?
Okay, so let me leave this honor for,
yes.
for these minutes that I'm here on the stage. Well, first of all, Indonesia is the biggest Muslim country in the world.
Yes.
And it is the number 5 biggest economy at the moment. I believe it has a potential to be even among the top 3 in the world.
Yes.
Now, I think two parts we need to focus on here in Indonesia. First of all, the halal ecosystem on the chain. We spoke about the AI slaughtering certificate, logistics, supply chain, and this all what we have discussed, it can be summarized in something called blockchain halal center of excellence. Now, Indonesia is the country that has the potential to build something like this and get the whole other countries as members or following this one. But where we need to focus now, there is always a thought where when you say, let's do this, people will think, oh, but we should have it on a private blockchain. Now imagine this. If Indonesia done this on a private blockchain, Saudi on a private blockchain, UAE private blockchain, Egypt, how many blockchains you will end up with? So many, and every blockchain will, every country will prefer to use their own. What's the solution for this? Is a community governance blockchain, a public blockchain that's Sharia compliant, that's fully governed by the community. So it is not owned by a single person, it is not centralized, it is not owned by a country. But this public blockchain can serve all these services. So first one, I would say, let's create a halal blockchain center of excellence here, put it on a public chain, and it will go and it will lead the whole ummah to follow. And the second part, I would say, let's do and be the first country who do the Sharia compliant real world asset tokenization. Indonesia, it has a big potential to attract a lot of investments from all the other countries. People now in the world, they are two sides. Either people who just have their money and they don't know where they go it, and it is hit by the inflation, so they are losing their value every day. And the other part, they have the money and they just don't know where to invest. So if we say there is a great opportunity in the fifth economy in the world, in the biggest Muslim country, we just need to tweak the regulation a little bit to allow the real world asset to happen, and it will make a big booming here.
Wow, so let me know if anyone here from our president office contact you and invite you to talk directly to Pak Prabowo. Okay, you mentioned about this public and private chain. Why do you think that the government or the community will use those public chain instead of the private chain? What is the difference actually?
Okay, the simple answer is just two parts. One part, that public chain, it is a community governance. Now, if you have a private chain, that people who validate and give the permissions to whatever transactions that will happen on the chain will be your private employees. So imagine you own the chain, the people who validate your employees, you're the one who issue, let's say, the certificate or all the others. So the level of transparency is low. While when you have community governance, the level of transparency is very high because this is all managed by the community, not by a certain entity. And this is one part. The other part is that every country now wants to be a leader, a global leader for the halal economy and the Sharia economy. How you can take that place if you still use your private blockchain? You cannot enforce other countries to use yours. You go to any other country, they will say, come use ours. And it will be like endless circle. So this is an answer to satisfy this all, as we say, purposes or maqasid, as our brother saying.
Good. Thank you. Very detailed explanation. So hope you guys, everyone, can understand more about what is the private and public chain. Then I will go back to Mr. Muhammad Rafi Hussain. From your perspective, how businesses can work together, to unlock the Islamic finance opportunity?
Yeah, absolutely. I think ultimately, what we're taught in our heritage is that, we are a community of the middle path. So in a lot of Web3 rhetoric, we hear that, everything's on chain, everything's digital, but really, banks like BSI, companies like Islamic Coin, there's innovations happening on both sides. And I think it's very important to be rooted in that innovation, but also understand that there are real customers, there are real problems that we can solve. So, one of the things that we've done is, if you think about Indonesia, banks are not everywhere, but there's great attempts of doing digital finance, even with people who may not have an account. We partnered with Indosat, which allows us now that anyone who has that SIM card, we can offer them the ability to own assets directly, with the license, with regulation, and with the ability to start financing people who may not be banked, given the numbers that we see, but who definitely have a phone number and who definitely we can reach them via the infrastructure of a business, a very large one, where we can communicate them the products and the education and the ability for them to effectively have a bank account in Facet.
So working together within the ecosystem is very important to unlock those opportunities. Okay, thank you, Pak. So I want to go back to, and this is my last question to Pak Saud. Pak Saud, BSI as the largest Islamic bank in Indonesia, how you see and cope with the, the fast changing of technology. Today we see Web3, yesterday we see Web2 and Web3, and we are talking about the blockchain. How you see that BSI have a strategy to cope and keep, keeping with the latest technology update so we can serve the community better?
There. First of all, I think we have to have our own, what you call it, center of excellence within BSI itself to look at the trend of technology, how it evolves and how it will affect the customers and how we can leverage those technology. But I would say it is impossible for only us to look at that. So that's why it is important for us also to work together with other players in industry, including the neobanks and as well as the fintech companies, so that we understand not only technology but also how the customers evolve better. So basically, those two things, I suppose. So basically, creating our own center of excellence to follow the development of technology, and also collaboration. Because I think, more and more we understand that we cannot be working only, by ourselves. We have to have collaboration with other parties as well. I think those two, what we're doing right now.
Thank you, Pak Saud. Thank you, everyone. So we are now at the end of the session. I know we wish we have another couple of days discussing more about the Web3 and blockchain, but unfortunately, time is up. So the conclusion of our discussion today is, it's clear that the latest technology, it's clear that Web3 and blockchain is something that in the coming years will help the Islamic finance grow and penetrate into the market and bring its values to more people all across the globe. Okay, so now it's time for us to understand better about what is Web3, what is blockchain, and how we can use and utilize those to encourage and support Islamic finance to grow. Thank you for all the speakers. It's a very fruitful discussion, and we would like to say, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, Barakallah Fikum. See you soon. See you again the next session, and enjoy the rest of the event. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Bapak Muhammad Ismail, for moderating this special panel discussion session. So please take a photo session to all panelists and moderator, a group photo. Okay, ready, the photographer, 3, 2, 1. Okay, thank you to you all. We would like to extend our gratitude to our panelists for their participation and for sharing their valuable insights in this session. Once again, please give a big round of applause